Historians can't even agree how many Jews died in the Holocaust. It probably didn't even happen at all. Welcome to Friday Fallacy. This week we're looking at the inflation of conflict fallacy. The inflation of conflict fallacy is when any disagreement in a field is taken as invalidating any claims in that field. That is, rather than recognise the limits of the disagreement, it is taken as a fatal flaw to that discipline. This is not a sound way of arguing, as all fields of knowledge have disagreements. That paleontologists disagree about the classification of Homo erectus in no way means that human evolution did not occur. That astronomers disagree on whether Pluto was a planet in no way means that astronomy can't be trusted on other matters. Some examples of the inflation of conflict fallacy. Climate scientists can't agree on whether climate change is even happening. It's just a scam. Different methods give different ages for fossils. That just shows that carbon dating is bunk. Evolutionists can't agree on the speed of speciation because they can't make it fit the fossils. Some say the Earth is 13 billion years old, but others put it closer to 14 billion. You just can't trust them. Not all expert disagreements are the inflation of conflict fallacy. Where there is genuine disagreement amongst experts, the correct conclusion is that we cannot be certain of those facts. But uncertainty in one area doesn't extend to the entire field. So, if people disagree about cutting-edge research but agree on the basics, then we can still have confidence in the basics. Inflation of conflict occurs most often when arguing for a position that conflicts with established science. Proponents of such positions may attempt to undermine the scientific facts by arguing that uncertainty on some topic is an indictment on the entire field. For example, creationists often use any disagreement among scientists as evidence that the entirety of science cannot be trusted. But that misses the point that we can trust those scientific conclusions for which there is an overwhelming consensus of experts, and suspend judgment on those conclusions that are yet to be settled. The inflation of conflict fallacy occurs in a few different forms. One form is the argument that since two experts disagree, neither is trustworthy. For example, anti-vaxxers may point to differences between vaccine schedules in the US and Europe as reason to doubt the value of vaccines altogether. Another form is the argument that any disagreement is actually just a symptom of widespread uncertainty. For example, when Democrats disagree on, say, how to tackle climate change, Republicans may claim that this shows that their party stands for nothing. A third form of the inflation of conflict fallacy is to argue that uncertainty about fundamentals in a field implies that the entire field of knowledge is uncertain. This often happens when attacking science, and misunderstands the phenomenological approach often taken in science. For example, people who reject psychiatry often argue that since we don't have a great understanding of how mental illness manifests in the brain, psychiatry is just a con. This assumes that to treat mental illness, we must first understand its causes and fundamental neurological basis. This is false. Much psychiatric knowledge comes from rigorous tests in which medicines are given to patients and the effects are measured. We know that medicines work to treat mental illness. That we don't have a good understanding of how and why is good reason to do more research, but not to reject the research we have already done. In conclusion, the inflation of conflict fallacy is when any disagreement in a field is taken as invalidating any claims from that field. Until next time, keep your fallacies to yourself.